want to start this off by kind of letting you know how I see things. And so, I read a lot of books, so I do a whole bunch of that, my 3 Ps, my 4 steps, it means a lot in a little bit, but it helps you to remember. So, starting off with my perspective is, I see things like a DJ. And the way a DJ sees things is a lot different than the way most people see things. We don't think anything can't work. And from a hip-hop perspective, when we started doing this music, there were engineers that told us things that we couldn't do in the studio. You can't go past the red bars and all of that. It was like, man, get out of here. We look at things from a very non-linear way, but it all has to match. We want to feel out the crowd because we want to figure out what they want. Ultimately, to make you dance and become a rhythm provider, which is really technically being a trendsetter and kind of giving you, what we feel should happen. Traditional business is run this way. Business is the main part of the cake, and then artistry is just a little icing. For the most part, the reason a lot of them fall on their back is because of this model. The way we see things is different. We flip the cake. So the business part, it's important. It really is important. Having a bottom line is important. But we make artistry the cake. We make everything that we do creative. We throw our creative things up front. And when we do that in a very army type way. It's very similar to taking an army and putting artistry as your frontline soldier. And what you do when you do that is you actually hedge your bets. Because if it doesn't work, you still got your business in the back, and you still got all your bottom line, and you still have all of that. But when it does work, you're Facebook. When it does work, you're Jay-Z. When it does work, you're any company that's had a creative flow, which is most of the companies that we respect nowadays. We throw artists in as a frontline soldier, and then your business people are kind of sort of like the same way MASH was. Your MASH people was, they were there, right? And every time somebody got wounded and all of that, they were back there to patch them up and all that, but they never was on the front line. The one thing I will say about passion is this, and that is, passion is determination against all odds. What that means to us is, it's 1979. We're taking these records, and we're doing this with it. And they're telling us those records weren't made to do that. You're messing the record up. It was not made to go back and forth like that. What are you doing? Or we're talking on record in rhythm, and everybody else is singing a high note somewhere. Whether it's Aretha Franklin, Luther Vandross, you take your pick. And they're saying, this is not going to work. This is a fad. You guys are not going to be around. Nobody wants to hear this. This is some juju music that you guys are just doing after school. Nobody's going to want to hear this over and over. This is not music. And none of us listen to them. Not one person. Not Kaz, not Flash, not me, not Big later on, not Pac later on. None of us listen. Because against anything that they were saying, we just was going to do it anyway. And I think that type of determination actually makes you win. That's me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I won. Run from Run DMC is a good friend of mine. He wrote, his first book is called It's Like That. And when he wrote this book, he wrote a piece in his book about your calling, how you find your calling in life. And one of the things that he said is, one of the ways that you know your calling is it's something that you've always been doing that you could trace throughout your entire life. If you look, as far as you can remember, some of us don't go back to 3 or 4, but as far as you can remember, you remember doing something of that nature your entire life. And the other way to determine your calling is, how easy it comes to you, which is kind of sort of the same thing. Your passion and your determination is all, it's all intertwined with that. There was a million, but But there was a bunch of guys on the radio that was like, yo, Daddy, just come with me, man. You know, chill out. Yo, just come with me, man. We ain't got to put no group together. You know, you can just come on with me. I was like, no, because I wanted to keep adding stuff just to prove that it could actually be done. And it's the same thing with your passion. You'll know because it's something, it's so second nature to you. And the only piece that I want to give you is that you can't let the outside, because it will be a bunch of opposition, you can't let the outside push you out of what your passion is supposed to be. It's that concept, right? It's the starving artist thing. Kid is playing the guitar, he spends all his money on the Marshall amp, he's in his parents' house, he's playing the guitar. His parents are like, yo, you're a bum, you need to go to school, you know? The kid becomes freaking Slash or something, right? Because you have to be determined against all odds. For creative people, the chicken and the egg concept is passion, right? And inspiration. I'm not creative people fight this thing all the time. Which comes first? Am I passionate about something and then I get inspired, or did I see Sly and the Family Stone do this and that's what made me want to sing? And what I found is that creative people don't have a choice. The only choice that they have is to stay inspired. The golden age is that usage is actually enough, right? You don't even have to think about winning at it. You just got to keep doing it. We started off doing something great. We got a great mobile app. We got an idea. We got a great software idea. We got a great convergence idea. It's cool. We inspired. We read Wired magazine every week. We on TechCrunch all the time. And we're doing it, right? We're reading Mashable articles and we're hitting comments, and every week we're throwing something out. We start a Twitter page, and we tweeting and we retweeting people, and we Fast Company subscription and all of that. We're inspired, and then we start our company, and then we stop. If the subscription goes out, we leave it alone. We got a company now. We no need to be, continue to be inspired. We used to blog every week. We got a company now. When I'm writing, I get to write when I'm writing. I'm running this company now. And what happens is that your inspiration begins to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle, and then it tanks. And I see that as a parallel to exactly what happens to us in the music business. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. In the beginning of rapping, you listening to every rapper, you knew every line that he said, you buying every record, everything. But then what happens, you put a record out. Oh, I got a record out now. I don't really got time to listen to them other dudes. I'm thinking about me. And you get uninspired because you're not, listen, if you're a creative person, let me explain something to you. You're not enough to inspire yourself. You never will be. You won't. Your evolution is inevitable if you keep doing it. Man, it's just what it is. You keep doing it, you will evolve. I've seen it. The consistency of it all is what allowed the evolution of hip-hop to come down to it being a multi-billion-dollar business today. It was that we kept doing it. Because at any point we could have stopped. At any point we could have been discouraged. And we didn't. And it's the same thing with any startup you love or any company that you love. It's the issue of usage being enough. Because you know what? Look, whether you believe it or not, I'm going to give you a good one. Ups and downs are written in the fabric of life. It's always been about the overcoming. You show me a person without ups and downs, I'll give you $1 million right now. The concept of turnkey, being able to do a whole bunch of stuff or almost everything in one place, is another similarity that we share because of the fact that, in the past, we just wasn't able to do it. For us, it was you record one place, you mix one place, you master one place, You do vocals one place, you give musicians from somewhere else. For startups, it's like, oh, we're gonna print here, we're gonna do this here, we're gonna do, you know, the fact that you could get everything done in one place and on one building or one staff is an incredible thing. And then just the whole concept of being able to do a whole bunch of things yourself that you don't have to depend on everybody else. Disclaimer, don't do your own legal work, okay? I don't care how much you buy on the internet, it's not gonna work. Somebody's gonna get in the middle of it, you're gonna be screwed. There's 4 things that I really concentrate on like all the time. There's a blog called Lessons Learned. And I like that guy a lot, I like his blog a lot. I was watching him speak one time, and he said if there was one way that he could describe a startup, it would be a high degree of uncertainty. And a light bulb went off in my head because I said that's exactly what it is for me when I'm writing a song, right? Who the hell knew that any song that I got a platinum record on my wall was gonna be a hit? I might have believed it, but who the hell? And then there's a whole bunch of joints I wrote that I thought was gonna fly. Them joints flopped. So, you know, you live in that world. You live in that high degree of uncertainty. Not to say that you go around so happy-go-lucky and, you know, don't look at the colors of your socks before you put them on and all that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is to not be afraid of that degree of uncertainty, especially when it comes down to creating companies, or if there's any musicians in the room when it comes down to creating music. You gotta know, it's gonna be there, right? It's gonna be there. It was there for Prince, every song he wrote. It was there for Berry Gordy, every record he put out at Motown. I work with Puff. I work with Jay. I work with Big. It was there. Big was a little more confident than most of us, but I'm saying, but it still was there. It was still a degree of uncertainty there. I tell young songwriters all the time, you know the problem with you guys? You don't know how to do this. You don't know how to throw it away. You don't know how to understand that the first idea that you come up with, it might not be the dopest idea. I teach artist development, and I always say, you know, I'm dealing with these kids, I'm showing them how to get on stage and do things, and they say, man, Daddy, I'm still scared. You know, I'm at the tip of the stage, you know, the lights come on, my music is coming on, I'm ready to get out there, and I'm still scared. I'm saying that's good, because every account I read about Michael Jackson, he had butterflies every time he went on the stage. That's good. Because you probably, first of all, there's nothing to get over if you don't have the butterflies. And then secondly, you almost have nothing to strive for if that thing is not there. Embrace it. Don't push it away. You're doing something. You're working on an idea. Man, I don't know where to go with this. That's good. Now figure out where to go. Now get a team around you. Now whatever. But that's good. This is an old school, it's called a rhythm box. Columbia made it. It's an old school beatbox. This is what Flash used to use at parties. But what he used to do with this box wasn't made to do. Flash used to take these buttons and go back and forth and make them do things that they wasn't supposed to do. That thing was never made to make hip-hop. Hip-hop was born on that. That's that whole Flash is on the beatbox. That's the beatbox. You use what's there. That concept of I'll be dope enough when I get is the wackest thing in the world, because that means you're not dope. You want to know why the South, especially Atlanta, has ruled rap music, hip-hop, whatever you want to call it, for 15 years? That concept. That's Dallas's concept, that's Jazzy Faye's concept, that's Toot's concept, that's all of their concept. They wasn't going to go out and get nothing else. I ain't going up to New York and buy a whole bunch of equipment and all that. I ain't doing that. I'm going to just use what I have and make it. And once I get there, then if I want to upgrade it, I'll upgrade it. Take inventory of what is in your hand already. Competition is the cornerstone of hip-hop. Seeing somebody do something and saying, yo, that's exactly what I want to do, but I can do it better. Anybody that worked at Apple will tell you, Jobs' famous line, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. That's his famous line. I mean, you writing incredible code, all of that. He come up to you. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. You know what that does? That makes you go back to the drawing board, that lets you know what you're up against, and you continue to do it. You can never, ever stop being competitive. If somebody's writing a record or doing an album, and their mind goes, oh, we're doing this for everybody, it never works. It never works. But when you do it for your core, sometimes those 5 blocks are proverbial, sometimes they're physical, and most hip-hop, they're physical, right? So Gucci make records for, you know, East Atlanta, and we done. Y'all New Yorkers, whatever. And it's the same thing with us. We made records for Brooklyn, and we finished. You like us, you don't. Brooklyn loves us, they behind us, we good. But it's the same concept when you're developing a product. You have to have some sort of core that's there. You gotta figure out who those 5 blocks are, and who those 5 tribes are. That's gonna love your thing, that's gonna promote your thing, that's gonna stay up under your thing, you gotta figure that out. Because if you don't figure it out, MySpace, you go away. High degree uncertainty, don't run from it, just embrace it, and realize that's a part of you. That's who you are. You take what's there and use it. You never lose the concept of competition. You realize that iron sharpens iron, and when you become a big fish in a little pond, move to a big ass pond, man. You in the room and you the smartest one in the room, get out of here, man. I'm telling you, get out. Because your ego gonna talk crap to you. You're gonna get puffed up, and you're gonna lose. In 5 blocks, 5 tribes, you gotta have that core up underneath you. So that concludes my talk. I just want to say this: pray for my friends that are in the music business, and pray for my other friends that are on the startup side, that they actually get married and make some of this stuff work.